Welcome back to Flagstone Trail, listeners. You know we're all about Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power.
We are.
And how these laws actually show up in the real world.
That's right.
But especially in the workplace.
Yeah.
So today we're going to do a deep dive into a law that might make a few people kind of raise their eyebrows.
It's a juicy one.
Yeah, it is. It's Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit.
Always take the credit.
Now, just on the surface, that sounds a little
ruthless.
Yeah, a little ruthless. A little like
Machiavellian even.
Yeah, very Machiavellian.
Yeah.
But as with all of these laws, I think there's a lot more nuance to it than meets the eye.
I think so too.
So how do we separate the smart application of this law from just being a glory hog? I mean, where's the line?
That's the question, isn't it? And that's what we're going to try to suss out as we go through this deep dive.
Okay.
I think it starts with just thinking about the core concept. Maximizing your output and your impact by understanding that you don't have to be a one-person show.
So you're saying it's more about building a team, a system that plays to everyone's strengths.
Exactly. Think about it like an orchestra conductor.
Well,
They don't play every instrument.
they don't.
But they bring together this talented group of individuals and they get them to play as one.
Right, and the conductor gets the applause.
They do.
At the end, even though they didn't physically play a note.
Exactly.
It's more about understanding the different roles involved and how to utilize them effectively to achieve a greater outcome.
Yeah.
So is everybody supposed to be the conductor?
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
It's more about recognizing those power dynamics that are at play and knowing when to step into that conductor role.
I see.
Sometimes you are the one playing an instrument,
Yeah.
contributing your specific expertise.
Right.
But other times you're the one who's got that vision and you can see, okay, I can bring all these people together.
Yeah.
And we can create something truly remarkable.
Okay. I'm starting to see the layers here a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking about all the stories we hear about people getting their ideas stolen or their contributions just completely overlooked.
Oh, yeah. That's a valid concern.
Yeah,
It's a jungle out there.
it is.
And you got to protect your turf.
You do.
But it also brings us to a really cautionary example. Nikola Tesla.
Right. The guy who invented the AC system.
The induction motor.
Induction motor.
All sorts of things that we take for granted today.
Yeah.
And yet he's often overlooked.
Yes.
A true visionary.
But his story also highlights the potential pitfalls
It does.
of not understanding how to play the credit game.
Exactly. You got to play the game.
You got to know the rules of the game.
Yep.
Didn't he work for Thomas Edison early on?
He did for a while.
And there's a fascinating contrast
There is.
in their approaches to power, right? Tesla was so incredibly dedicated, working tirelessly in his lab on his inventions.
A real workaholic.
Edison was more like
More of a businessman.
a shrewd businessman.
Yeah, he knew how to build a brand.
Yeah.
He knew how to control the narrative.
And there was a story about how
Oh, yeah.
Edison promised Tesla
Yeah, big money.
big money, like $50,000, which in those days,
Oh, fortune.
a fortune if he could redesign his dynamo.
It's dynamos. Yep.
And he did it.
He did.
Yep.
He came through.
And he went to collect his reward, and Edison laughed at him
Wrapped in his face.
and said something along the lines of, Tesla, you don't understand our American humor.
Our American humor? I know.
About cold.
Stone cold.
Yeah. And did Tesla just accept that?
Well, he was disappointed, of course.
Oh.
But he was really focused on the science.
I see.
He wasn't as concerned with the financial rewards or the recognition.
So are you saying that Tesla's downfall was really his idealism? He was just too focused on the work?
I think it's definitely a factor.
Okay.
He didn't seem to grasp the importance of self-promotion or protecting his intellectual property.
Interesting.
Edison, on the other hand, the master strategist, knew how to control the narrative
Right.
and capitalize on others' work.
So he really knew how to apply Law 7 to his advantage.
He did.
Right.
Absolutely.
He wasn't afraid to take credit for the work of others
Nope.
if it ultimately served his goal.
If it got him where he wanted to go.
Right. And he understood the value of delegation.
Oh, yeah. He was a master delegator.
So what can we learn from this contrasting pair, Tesla and Edison?
Well, it's more about just being aware
Okay.
of the power dynamics at play.
Right.
Like navigating a jungle, you have to be aware of who are the hunters, who are the gatherers.
The scavengers.
The scavengers, the ones that are going to swoop in and try to take what you've worked so hard to build.
There's like, don't be a naive Tesla,
Yeah.
but don't be a ruthless Edison.
Yeah.
Find a balance.
Find that middle ground.
Observe, learn, and adapt.
That's it, but without becoming exploitative.
Right, because ultimately we want to use these laws for good, not for evil.
Right.
We want to be ethical
Right.
and responsible in our pursuit of power.
Adapt the principles without becoming exploitative. I like that a lot.
It's a good mantra.
Yeah?
Because it reminds us that these laws are tools, and how we use them
Yes.
determines our character.
Let's look at another example to kind of illustrate some of these different approaches.
Okay.
And I'm thinking about Vasco Núñez de Balboa.
The conquistador,
Yeah,
driven by that quest for gold.
right. So what can we learn from Balboa?
Well, he's a cautionary tale
Okay.
about what happens when ambition and that desire for recognition overshadow strategic thinking.
I see.
Balboa was obsessed with finding El Dorado, the legendary city of gold. He endured incredible hardship,
Oh, yeah.
pushing himself and his men to the limit
Right.
in his pursuit of this prize.
And he found it, right.
He did in a way, or at least he found evidence.
He stumbled upon the Incan Empire.
Right.
It wasn't El Dorado, but it was a civilization rich in gold and resources.
Yeah.
And he was on the verge
Wow.
of becoming the next Cortez, conquering this new land, amassing this unimaginable wealth and power.
Wow.
But here's where he fumbled the Law 7 game.
Oh.
He could not keep his discovery under wraps. Word spread among the other conquistadors like wildfire.
So he didn't protect his discovery?
He did not.
He's excited.
He was too excited.
He wanted to tell everybody.
He wanted the recognition.
Right.
He didn't create alliances. He didn't build a network of support.
Oh.
And ultimately, he paid the price.
So who was kind of the vulture in this situation?
Well, that would be Francisco Pizarro.
Oh, okay.
Shrewd and ruthless operator.
Okay, so he was waiting in the wings to capitalize
He was.
on Balboa's hard work.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's
A jungle out there.
it is.
Balboa, blinded by his ambition, failed to manage the power dynamics at play.
Yeah. What happened to Balboa in the end?
Well, Pizarro, with his keen understanding of Law 7, orchestrated Balboa's downfall.
Oh my goodness.
He manipulated the situation, turned others against Balboa,
And
whom
ultimately,
we were accused of treason.
no.
Yeah.
So Balboa did all the work, and Pizarro got the credit.
And the Incan Empire for himself?
That's brutal.
It is.
That's a tough lesson.
It is a tough lesson.
Right.
Yeah.
What a contrast to our next example.
Yeah.
Peter Paul Rubens.
Oh, Rubens, the painter.
He's a fascinating case study in the positive application of Law 7.
How did he manage to be so prolific? And not only that, but maintain such a high level of quality.
Well, he understood the power of building a system.
Okay.
His studio wasn't just a place for him to paint, it was a well-oiled machine.
Wow.
It was a veritable painting factory.
Interesting.
He had this whole team of artists, all of them specialized
Oh,
in a particular element.
I see.
So you had your landscape guys, you had your drapery guys, you had your figures guys.
So it was like an assembly line for masterpieces.
It was.
It was.
That's incredible.
It is.
But wouldn't his clients be a little suspicious?
Well, here's where the image management comes in.
Oh, okay.
Rubens was a master of controlling perceptions.
So how did he do that?
Well, whenever a really important client came to visit the studio,
Yeah.
he sent all of his assistants home for the day.
Oh, so it looked like he was doing it all by himself.
Exactly.
Wow.
He cultivated this image of tireless genius working day and night to meet the demands of his patrons.
Oh, they probably thought he was superhuman or something.
They did. They were awestruck by his speed and his efficiency.
Right.
And it just solidified his reputation as a master.
It's like a magic trick.
It is.
Right. Creating the illusion of solo effort while actually leveraging a team.
It's a brilliant application of Law 7.
It is.
He understood that managing perceptions is just as important as the work itself.
Yeah, so interesting.
He was able to utilize the talent of others while maintaining complete control over his image and ultimately reaping the rewards.
So we've got Balboa, who let ambition and ego get in the way of strategic thinking.
Yeah.
And then we have Rubens, who built a system
Yeah.
that benefited both himself and the artist that he employed.
It just highlights the importance of understanding the nuances of this law and knowing how to apply it ethically and effectively.
So where's the line between strategic delegation
Yeah.
and exploitation?
That is the question, isn't it?
It is?
And that's something we'll continue to explore as we dive deeper into this fascinating law.
I'm ready to dive in. I'm already starting to see how these power dynamics are at play in my own work life.
I think that's the goal of Flagstone Trail.
Right.
Is to get you seeing the world through the lens of these laws and then use that knowledge to your advantage.
Well, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what other insights we're going to uncover today as we continue exploring the 48 laws of power.
Me too.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go. You know, it's interesting you bring up ethics because one of the criticisms that Robert Greene often faces is that his work can be seen as kind of amoral or even Machiavellian.
I can see that, especially with a law like get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit.
Right. It sounds a little self-serving.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember that Greene is presenting these laws as observations of human behavior, not necessarily as endorsements.
Right. It's not a how-to manual.
It's not.
It's more like he's saying this is how the game is played.
Exactly.
Not this is how you should play the game.
Right.
It's more like giving us a framework for understanding.
Yeah.
And then we have to make our own decisions.
Make your own choices.
So it's like a toolkit.
It is.
I can use a hammer to build a house, or I could use a hammer to break a window.
Exactly.
It's all about how we use it.
Intention.
So going back to Rubens,
he
seems like a pretty good example of somebody who actually applied this law ethically.
I think.
Right. He wasn't exploiting his assistants.
Right.
He was providing an opportunity for them
to learn,
to develop their skills,
to be a part of something bigger than themselves.
And he was compensating them fairly.
Right. So there's a difference between strategic delegation.
Big difference.
And just taking advantage of people.
Huge.
Right. And Rubens got that.
He did.
He knew that building a successful system requires mutual benefit.
It does.
So it's not just about getting others to do the work. It's about creating a win-win scenario.
Yeah, and that requires a lot of thought and consideration.
Okay.
You know, you have to think about who you're delegating to.
Yeah.
What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses?
Right.
And how do I ensure that everyone feels valued?
So it sounds like this law is about leadership as much as it's about power.
I think that's a really key insight.
Okay.
I mean, effective leadership often involves empowering others.
Yeah.
Recognizing their talents and giving them the opportunity to shine. But how do we know when to delegate and when to take on the task ourselves?
Discernment.
Okay.
You got to know yourself.
Okay.
You got to know your team.
And if I'm bad at details,
delegate
it to somebody.
To someone who's good at it.
Who loves details.
Yes.
Right. So it's about playing to everyone's strengths.
It is.
Creating a system that maximizes efficiency and quality.
That's it.
And it's about asking for help.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people have a hard time with.
It's a sign of strength, not weakness.
Exactly.
To say, I need help.
Right.
Trying to do everything yourself just leads to burnout and mediocrity.
Yeah.
It's so much more effective to build a team and leverage the collective intelligence and skills of a group.
If you want to go fast, go alone.
Yeah.
If you want to go far, go together.
I love that saying.
So we don't have to be a lone wolf.
Nope.
Hoarding all the glory.
Share it.
Right.
It's about being a leader.
Okay.
Orchestrating the efforts of others.
I like that.
And creating something truly remarkable.
Something bigger than yourself.
That's it.
But what about the times when we do need to take credit for our work? How do we do that?
Yeah.
Without seeming arrogant or boastful?
Well, that's where the art of subtle self-promotion comes in.
Okay.
It's not about bragging or taking all the credit.
Okay.
It's about showcasing your accomplishments.
Okay.
In a way that's authentic and strategic.
So it's about finding that balance between highlighting our contributions, but not overshadowing the efforts of others.
Exactly.
It's like what we were saying before, managing perceptions.
It is.
It's about shaping how people see us and the value that we bring.
Yeah, you're positioning yourself as a leader.
Cook.
An innovator, a problem solver.
But doing so in a way that's authentic.
Authenticity is key.
Right. And it's respectful of other people's contributions.
It's a delicate dance.
It is.
You have to be confident in your abilities. Willing to step up, but also humble enough to recognize that you're not always the smartest in the room.
Right. And true leadership isn't about
hoarding power.
Hoarding power. It's about sharing it.
Empowering others.
Yes.
I'm really starting to get how powerful this law can be.
It is powerful.
When it's applied ethically and strategically.
It is a game changer.
It is.
But like any tool, it requires skill and discernment to wield it effectively.
And a strong sense of ethics.
Ethics are paramount.
Because we don't want to use it to manipulate or exploit other people.
Exactly.
Right.
We want to find that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Where everyone benefits, individual talents are amplified.
Right.
And the collective achievement is greater than the sum of its parts.
Okay. So we've talked about building a team. We've talked about delegation. We've even talked about outsourcing.
Yeah.
But what about people who are solopreneurs?
Yeah.
Or people who work in places where they don't have direct reports?
Good question.
Can they use Law 7?
Absolutely they can.
Well, I think they have to think about delegation in a broader sense.
Okay.
It's not just about tasks to employees.
Right.
It's about finding ways to leverage resources and expertise outside of your immediate control. So think about freelancers,
Okay.
consultants, mentors,
Yeah.
online tools, online services.
Oh, I see.
All those things can help you achieve more than you could on your own.
So it's like building a virtual team,
It is.
even if you are working independently.
Precisely.
Okay.
And just like with a traditional team, you have to be strategic about it.
Right.
Who you bring in, how you utilize their skills.
So if I'm a writer who's terrible at marketing,
Yeah.
I might hire a publicist
You might.
to help me get my work out there.
Exactly.
Or a small business owner who's struggling with accounting
Yeah.
could outsource that to a professional.
That's a great example.
So identify our weaknesses and find people to help us in those areas.
That's it.
This is really helpful. I'm starting to see how Law 7 can be applied.
It's versatile.
Yeah, in lots of different contexts, even if you're not.
Even if you're not the boss,
Yeah.
you can still use it.
And even when you're delegating, we still have to
Stay involved.
stay involved, right? It's not about just throwing it over the fence.
No.
You still got to
Oversee it.
oversee it.
Yeah, make sure it meets your standards.
Be the conductor,
Exactly.
guiding the overall direction.
You're still in charge.
And it goes back to what we were talking about before, communication.
Communication is key.
Building strong relationships with the people we're working with,
So important.
setting clear expectations, giving feedback,
Yeah, all of that.
whether it's employees, freelancers, virtual assistants.
Whoever you're working with.
The more effectively we can communicate our vision,
Yeah.
the better the results we're going to get.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, this is all starting to feel very empowering.
It is empowering.
Like I actually have more control
You do.
than I thought I did.
You have more control than you realize.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Delegation, leadership, building teams, outsourcing.
We've hit it all.
But what about that last piece?
Taking credit.
Taking credit.
The big one.
How do we do that
Right.
effectively and ethically?
Well, that's a great question, and it deserves some careful consideration.
Yeah, because we don't want to be seen as arrogant or self-serving.
Right.
So where's the line?
The line between showcasing your accomplishments
Yeah.
and just stealing the show.
Yeah.
Well, I think the key is to focus on the value that you added,
Okay.
rather than claiming credit for the work itself.
Oh, I see.
Highlight the contributions you made,
Okay.
the challenges you overcame,
Yeah.
the positive outcomes that you achieved.
So it's not, I did this.
It's not,
Here's how I made a difference.
Yeah.
Here's the impact I had.
okay,
And whenever possible, acknowledge the contributions of others.
yeah,
Share the credit. Highlight their strengths.
be a team player.
Be a team player.
Okay,
And express your gratitude.
right, for their support.
It goes back to what we were saying before, managing perceptions.
It all ties together.
Taking credit isn't about boasting. It's about shaping how other people perceive you.
Exactly.
So strategically positioning ourselves
Big
as
lever.
a leader,
An innovator.
a problem solver.
A valuable asset.
Right, but doing so in a way that's authentic
Yeah,
and respectful of others.
it's a balancing act.
It is.
You have to be assertive, but also collaborative,
Yeah.
leading the charge,
Right.
but also empowering those around you.
And remembering that leadership isn't about
Hoarding power.
hoarding power.
It's about sharing it.
Okay, I'm feeling so much more confident now in my ability to navigate these complex dynamics.
That's great to hear.
But I'm realizing this is a journey, not a destination.
It is a journey.
There's always more to learn.
There is.
We can always refine our approach.
That's the exciting part.
It is.
The journey never ends.
Okay, so Law 7.
It's about so much more.
It's about so much more than just getting people to do the work for you.
It's about leadership. It's about delegation.
Yeah.
It's about collaboration. It's about understanding these complex relationships.
Creating systems that benefit everybody involved
That's it.
while still allowing us to achieve our goals
That's the sweet spot.
and make a meaningful impact.
Exactly.
This has been an incredible deep dive into Law 7.
It has.
I'm already starting to see the world through a different lens.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, this is great.
To help you unlock your potential
Yeah.
and to use it to create a life that's both fulfilling and impactful.
Okay, so we've covered delegation.
Yeah.
I've talked about how to build a strong team and how to take credit without stepping on toes. But there's one more piece I'm kind of curious about.
Yeah, what's that?
It's this idea of timing, of knowing when to push for that recognition and when to actually hold back.
Oh, interesting.
Because sometimes letting somebody else take the credit can be the most powerful move.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a concept that Robert Greene actually calls the reversal.
The reversal.
The reversal.
I do unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's the understanding that sometimes the most strategic move is to cede the spotlight.
Yeah.
To allow someone else to kind of bask in the glory.
Right.
Even if you were the driving force behind the success.
It sounds so counterintuitive.
It does.
Like we're undermining our own efforts.
Yeah, on the surface it does, but think about it this way.
Okay.
When you allow someone else to take the credit, you're creating an obligation.
Oh, I see.
Like, they now owe you a favor.
The debt of gratitude.
Exactly, and that can be incredibly valuable.
Okay.
Down the line, they're more likely to support you.
Right.
Your future endeavors.
Champion your ideas.
View you as an ally.
Right. So it's like an investment.
It is.
You're building goodwill.
Yeah.
That you can cash in later.
I like that. And I guess sometimes sharing the credit could also be a way to deflect attention or responsibility.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Especially when you're dealing with superiors.
Right.
Who might be a little threatened by your success.
So if I make my boss look good.
Make the boss look good.
Yeah.
You're strengthening your position
Right.
within the organization.
Even if I was the one who spearheaded it or whatever.
Yeah.
It's about playing the long game.
The long game.
Knowing when to hold back.
Strategic self-effacement.
Do you have any examples of that in action?
Sure. Consider the relationship between Henry Kissinger and Richard Nixon.
Okay. Yeah.
During that whole opening to China in the 1970s.
Oh, right.
Nixon was the one who met with Mao Zedong.
Yeah. Made all the headlines.
Front page news.
Right.
But it was Kissinger who was really working behind the scenes.
Oh, okay.
He was the one orchestrating all those diplomatic maneuvers.
Interesting.
That led to that breakthrough.
So he was the architect.
He was.
But he let Nixon be the face of it.
Exactly. And by doing so, he ensured his own long-term success.
Yeah, because he ended up having a very long and illustrious career.
Oh, he did. He became this indispensable advisor.
Right.
A trusted confidant.
Yeah.
And ultimately a major player on the world stage.
So it really was brilliant.
It was.
How he was able to do that.
It was.
So as we wrap up our deep dive on Law 7, I want to leave our listeners with a thought.
Okay, shoot.
Power is a very complex thing.
Multifaceted.
It's not just about brute force or domination.
It's not a blunt instrument.
It's about understanding the subtleties of human nature.
Yeah.
It's about knowing how to influence people.
It's about perception.
Yeah.
How you're perceived.
Yeah, and using all of that ethically, responsibly, for the greater good.
That's it.
Because true power is not about exploiting others.
Or climbing over people.
To get to the top.
It's about empowering those around you.
Yeah.
Creating those win-win situations.
Right.
And using your influence
to make a positive impact.
Make the world a better place.
This has been such an incredible journey.
It has.
Through all the nuances of Law 7. And I'm walking away with a whole new perspective.
That's what we like to hear.
On power and delegation and really strategic thinking in general.
Strategic thinking is so important in every aspect of life.
Yeah, so just remember, these laws are tools.
They are.
And like any tool, they could be used for good or for ill.
The choice is yours.
And that's it for today's Flagstone Trail discussion. We really appreciate your listenership.